Okay, let's open up our math book. And remember, we're on, this is volume 2. Volume 2. So make sure you're in the correct workbook. Course 2, volume 2. It's the real thick one. Open it up and turn to page 349. 349. Okay, so notice our title, Algebraic Expressions. Let's go to take a look at some of the vocabulary they have here. This is something you're very familiar with. For example, the word variable. Variable is basically just a symbol, most of the time a letter, that represents an unknown quantity, an unknown value. Right? We also have algebraic expressions. That's basically, look at this one, such as n plus 2. That's an expression that contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. It has to have an operation in there. Okay, we'll skip the rest of the part. And let's go ahead and just turn the page, please, to page 350. 350. And on page 350, something they just want to make sure that you're familiar with. Now, anything that involves expressions and with variables is called algebra. And a lot of times in algebra, multiplication sign is often omitted. It's like the default symbol. So for example, right here, 6d is actually 6 times d. 9st is 9 times s times t. See, there's times in there, even though we don't put that there. There's times. Okay, we've already talked about the coefficient, right? That's a number that's got a letter with it, a variable attached to it, multiplied. Now, if you notice these words here on number examples 1, 2, and 3, look what they have. Evaluate. Evaluate. Evaluate means you take a number and plug it in for the letter. You substitute it. Replace it. So in this case, 2n plus 3, they said, what if n is negative 4? So you take the negative 4 and you plug it in there for n, like this. And you get an answer, get a value. Simplify it. Okay, same thing goes with number 2. Now this is what I would like to correct that I think they make a mistake on this book. Not a mistake, it's just not very clear. For example, when it says 4y to the third, what that is really is 4 times y times y times y. That's 4y to the third. Plus 2. Now, yes, this is how you write it, but when it comes time to placing the number 3 in there for the letter y, it's a lot easier if you spread it out like this. Okay, it's a lot easier to do that. So what I have is, if I put 3's in there, I have 4 times 3 times 3 times 3 plus 2. And if I put these together, that's 12. And these together, that's 9. 12 times 9 is 108. Plus 2 makes 110. And that is why they have 110 as the answer. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's a lot easier, though, if you spread out. If it's y to the third power, do it 3 times. All right, what we're going to do is letters, the bottom ones here, D, E, and F. And I will work with them with you. And so let's see what numbers they have to put in there. They tell us to, now whenever you do these problems, what you will do is you'll rewrite them with the number. So for example, it says C is 8. So I would write this as 2 times 8, because that's 2 times C, minus 4 times D. D is supposed to be negative 5. So I will put -5 in there. Got it? You just put the number for the letter. But notice it's times. Okay, so you can see how you have to know your integers on this, your negative numbers. So let's see, 2 times 8, that's 16. Now, if you want to think of this as negative, you can think of it as negative. That's all right. Or you can just say minus. So 4 times 5 is 20, and the 2 negatives will cancel, so it's a big plus. 2 negatives, right, they cancel. All right, and 16 and 20 would make, what is that, 36? 36. And in case that kind of confused you a little bit right here, this part, if you think of this, -4 is the same thing as adding -4. Right? So -4 times -5. Okay, letter E, we have D minus C squared. That's the same thing as D minus C squared is C times C. Right? That's what that means. So now I just plug in the number for there. So let's see, if I put, for D is -5. So I put -5 in there, -5 minus, and then C is 8. All right, now you can think this as negative, let's see, I have -5, and then -8, you can think of it as -8 times 8, or you could say minus 8 times 8 is 64. Either way, minus 64 is the same as -64, right? It's the same thing. It's like saying plus -64. It's the same. That's a real hard concept to remember for many students. So if you could read my writing, I have 5 negatives and 64 negatives. That makes a total of 69 negatives. -69, right? Some people think, well, wait, isn't it positive 69? No, it's only 2 negatives cancel only when you multiply or divide. I'm not multiplying. I'm just combining them together. Okay, I apologize for the messiness here, but 2d squared, that's like 2 times d, right? D squared is d times d. And then we have plus 5d. Okay, d is -5. You need to plug in a -5 for d. So if I do that, that's 2 times -5. Hello, I can't, -5, well, that's sloppy, sorry. And then this is also -5, right? Every d is -5. All right, so now I need to multiply this. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. Now, let's see, I have 2 negatives. 2 negatives cancel when multiplying. Plus, okay, now I have 5 times -5. 5 times 5 is 25. And there's 1 negative, so it's -25. All right, so I have 50 and 25 negatives. That's like 50 take away 25. The answer is 25, positive 25, right? There's more positive. That's why it's positive 25. Okay, so what you're going to do now is turn a couple of pages to this page here, which is 353. Page 353. And I'd like to do one of these problems with you. 353 is where we're at. And you're going to do numbers 1 through 9. You're going to write on here 1 through 9. And I'd like to just show you one of the problems, if I could. And that will be number, let's say I'll do number 7 with you. So number 7. You know what, maybe I'll just do number 2. Okay, let's do number one here. Let's do this one because I have the numbers right there. So it tells you that D is 8, E is 3, F is 4, and G is -1. They're telling you that's what these numbers are, and you're going to plug them in and give it an answer. So let's do this one right here. Now, what you want to do is just rewrite it with those numbers. 2 parentheses, D is 8, 8 plus 9. And of course, then you would solve it, right? You do the parentheses first. And 2 times 17 is, what's that? 34? There you go. All right? So rewrite it with the number in there and then solve it. Don't just give me an answer. Rewrite it with, if you want credit, rewrite it with the number. Let me give you one more example. Okay, D is 8. Let me go down to number 7 for a minute. Look at number 7. And we have D minus 4 over 2. So I'll put a set, is 8, right? D is 8. Okay, that's what I'm doing. That one right there. That's 8. 8 minus 4. Okay, 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, you go ahead and do the rest of them. But this is how you do it. Plug the number in and then find the answer. 1 through 9.